I have wandered through enough shadows to know when a place does not merely feel wrong, but remembers wrong. But Toomey left salt on my bones. Nikolai Bay whispered from the seawater for days after I fled. The Bulgarian coast gave me dreams that still wake me gasping. Yet nothing, not spirits, nor cursed tides, nor drowned voices, compared to Aberdeen and to the painting beneath the floorboards. I arrived to film a Halloween video about Ma Cameron's, the oldest pub, with walls steeped in ale and whispered hauntings. A charming Scottish ghost story. That's all I wanted. I rented a small ground floor flat on Elmbank Road in a granite building that seemed carved from the gloom itself. The landlord spoke with the politeness of someone relieved to hand off a burden.
Old place, creaks a bit. Don't mind it.
He might as well have said,
This house has its own history.
The first evening passed uneventfully, editing footage, brewing tea, fog crawling across the window panes like slow fingers. Around 3 a.m., I awoke suddenly, not to a sound but to a sensation. Something watching me breathe. I rose, joints stiff, and saw them in the pale light. Dust footprints leading from the corridor toward my bed. Small, bare, human. I should have left, but curiosity is my sin, and my currency. The following night, the house began to converse. Soft at first, a delicate tapping from beneath the floorboards, as though someone were drumming fingertips on the underside of the wooden planks. A code, a summons. Tap, 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 tap. Every hair along my arms lifted. My breath felt colder, leaving my chest, then entering. Later, while searching the corridor, my flashlight caught a subtle seam in the wood, too perfect, too deliberate. A hatch, hidden, waiting. When I pulled it open, the smell rose like a memory trapped in rot. Mildew-old stone, and beneath it, copper and decay. A ladder descended into shadow. I followed. Basements are usually mundane, storage, dust, forgotten Christmas ornaments. This one held purpose, and the kind not meant for daylight. Brick walls, sweating with damp. A wooden table fitted with leather straps. Stains on the floor, that time had darkened but not erased. And canvases, dozens, stacked with their faces, turned inward like shamed sinners. Then the door, narrow, boarded shut from the outside. I hesitated. My breath trembled, visible in the cold. My hand moved anyway, prying at ancient wood, forcing my way into a chamber sealed with intent. Inside lay an artist's studio where ambition had curdled into madness. Jars of pigment, brushes stiff with forgotten use, and in the corner, something draped in cloth. A single painting, honored and hidden. I pulled the sheet and wish I hadn't. Her eyes met mine, if they were still hers. The woman in the portrait was screaming right at me. Skin stretched too thin, as if she had been pulled across the canvas alive. Not brush strokes, wounds, not pigment, flesh tones stolen from flesh itself. I felt it then, a presence leaning close behind me, breath cold against the shell of my ear. A whisper, not from the air, but from inside my mind.
Find me.
My hands shook, my vision swam. I fled the way I came, heart beating like riot drums, climbed into bed like a child hiding from a nightmare, and waited for dawn, eyes wide and burning. Sleep never returned. Instead, obsession arrived. I devoured archive scraps, police records, forgotten articles yellowed by time. The story unfolded with the elegance of tragedy and the cruelty of truth. More than 100 years ago, this very building belonged to a local artist named Edward Fennell. By all accounts, he was talented, but not brilliant. He dreamed of fame, of money, of admiration, but his paintings were painfully ordinary. Critics called his work soulless. He was obsessed with becoming someone that others would remember forever. He wasted every coin he had on canvases, pigments, and studio rent until he was nearly ruined. That's when he met Margaret, a kind, naive woman with some savings and no family. She loved him instantly, and he married her just as quickly. For a while, people saw her often in the window, watering flowers, smiling. Then suddenly, she disappeared. When neighbors asked, Edward said she'd left him, and soon after, he presented a painting unlike anything he'd ever made before. It was strange, disturbing, yet beautiful. A woman's face so lifelike it seemed to breathe. He said it was born of heartbreak. That sorrow gave him inspiration. The painting sold for a fortune, and for the first time, he tasted fame. Then another young woman vanished, a neighbor who often visited his studio, and another painting appeared. And then another disappearance. Each new masterpiece made his reputation grow, and yet those who saw the paintings said they felt something wrong in them, a presence, almost alive. Until one critic noticed something unusual, the faint metallic smell that came from the canvases. When the police searched his home, they found the truth hidden behind a small wooden door in the corridor, a door leading to a basement. There, beneath the floorboards, stood a work table splattered with dried crimson, brushes, bones, hair, and pigments. And lying upon the table, a woman's body, drained of blood, her skin cold and pale. The basement was filled with bodies, all except the first one, his wife, Margaret. Her body was never found. When they arrested Fennel, he confessed to nothing. He only smiled and said,
"They wanted to be remembered too."
He hanged himself in his cell a few days later. And when the police came to collect his belongings, his first painting, the one that made him famous, had vanished. Until I lifted that sheet. And with it, whatever held her captive turned its gaze upon me. The records were consistent. Everyone who saw that painting descended into madness or violence within days unless they freed her. The house became a predator. Shadows lengthened unnaturally. Whispers followed me like perfume. I felt watched even in silence, pursued even in stillness. I caught myself staring at knives longer than necessary, dreamt of grinding bones into paint, woke to scratches on my neck as though fingernails had dragged upward toward the vein. I spoke aloud in the flat, answering questions I had not asked, and always, that tapping. More insistent, more impatient. Time was running thin. I returned to the studio. Fear had settled into me like a second pulse. I no longer trembled. Dread had become familiar, almost intimate. I searched, behind pipes, beneath flagstones, inside molding wooden crates. Nothing. Then the thought struck me with nauseating clarity. A narcissist never hides his muse far. He wanted her to witness his triumph forever. I moved the stacked canvases. Behind them, in a hollow scraped into the brick, lay a bundle wrapped in once white linen. Inside, brittle bones curled in final agony, a skull with remnants of hair tied by a decayed ribbon, and fingers still bearing rings fused to dried gore. I whispered, not to her, but to the walls, to him.
"You don't own her anymore."
I carried the remains upstairs, and the tapping ceased. The authorities confirmed everything. She was laid to rest at last. I attended her funeral. A gray sky wept in her stead. I placed lilies upon the coffin and murmured like a prayer.
"You're free."
For the first time since arriving, the world felt breathable, solid, mine. Back in my room, not the flat, never again the flat, I reviewed the footage. There was a recording I do not recall making. In it, I stood before the portrait, expression hollow, hand caressing the canvas with reverence as though worshipping it. My voice, deeper, drained of warmth, whispered,
Creation demands devotion.
The video ended with a faint tap on the camera's casing. In my hotel now, when the night grows still and thought grows sharp, I sometimes hear a sound behind the glass. Tap, 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 tap. And occasionally, only when exhaustion dulls my guard, my fingers itch as though longing to hold a brush. I survived Aberdeen, but I did not leave it behind. Some masterpieces once viewed continue to be painted, whether the canvas wills it or not.
Brushing hands.